Today, we will discuss those 8 countries which were banned from the FIFA World Cup of Football. 1. South Africa, from 1960 to 1990. South Africa's exclusion from FIFA and the World Cup from the 1960s to 1990 was primarily due to its policy of apartheid, a system of racial segregation and discrimination enforced by the South African government during that time. Apartheid policies, which were in effect from 1948 to the early 1990s, systematically discriminated against non-white South Africans, particularly those of African, Indian, and mixed-race descent. These policies extended to all aspects of life, including sports. In the case of football, the government enforced strict racial segregation, preventing non-white players from participating in mainstream leagues and competitions. As a result, FIFA suspended the South African Football Association, SAFA, from its membership in 1961 due to its discriminatory practices. This suspension meant that South African clubs and the national team were banned from participating in international competitions, including the FIFA World Cup. The ban continued for several decades, with the international community and various organizations advocating for an end to apartheid and a return of South African football to the global stage. In the late 1980s, international pressure increased, and internal resistance against apartheid also grew stronger. As a significant symbolic step, FIFA lifted the ban on South African football in 1992, marking the end of the country's exclusion from international football. The country's successful bid to host the 2010 FIFA World Cup was a testament to its transformation and reintegration into the global sporting community. 2. Iraq 1990. Iraq's exclusion from the 1990 FIFA World Cup stemmed from their invasion of Kuwait under President Saddam Hussein's leadership. This led to international sanctions and condemnation. Here's a concise rundown. Invasion of Kuwait. In 1990, Iraq, led by President Saddam Hussein, invaded Kuwait due to territorial and economic disputes. Claims of Kuwait overproducing oil and driving down prices also played a role. Global reaction. The invasion prompted quick international backlash. The United Nations Security Council, UNSC, passed resolutions demanding Iraq's withdrawal from Kuwait and imposing economic sanctions. Impact on sports. The invasion and sanctions affected various sectors, including sports. International bodies like FIFA supported UN resolutions, leading to Iraq's disqualification from the 1990 FIFA World Cup in Italy. FIFA's stand. FIFA's decision aligned with its stance against political interference in football. Given the ongoing crisis and violation of international law, Iraq's participation was deemed unfit. Consequences. The invasion and sanctions isolated Iraq diplomatically, caused economic hardships, and limited international engagement. The World Cup ban was part of wider measures to pressure Iraq into withdrawing from Kuwait. Ban's end. After the 1991 Gulf War liberated Kuwait, a coalition led by the US intervened. Iraq eventually complied with disarmament requirements, leading to the lifting of UN sanctions. With improved political conditions, Iraq re-entered the international sports arena. 3. Yugoslavia 1992. Yugoslavia was banned from participating in the 1992 FIFA World Cup due to the breakup of the country into several independent nations and the outbreak of armed conflicts in the region. Here's a detailed explanation of the events. International community's response. The international community, including the United Nations and European countries, was deeply concerned about the violent conflicts and humanitarian crisis emerging from the breakup of Yugoslavia. Diplomatic efforts were made to stop the violence and restore peace. FIFA's decision. In light of the ongoing conflicts and uncertainty in the region, FIFA decided to ban Yugoslavia from participating in the 1992 FIFA World Cup, which was scheduled to be held in Italy. The ban was a reflection of the volatile political and security situation in the country. Peace efforts and UN sanctions. As the conflicts continued and intensified, the United Nations imposed economic sanctions on Yugoslavia in an attempt to halt the violence and facilitate negotiations. International peacekeeping forces were also deployed to certain areas of conflict. End of ban and recognition. By the time the World Cup was scheduled to take place in June 1992, Yugoslavia was in a state of disarray with ongoing fighting. Consequently, Yugoslavia could not participate in the tournament. However, as the situation evolved and diplomatic efforts led to the Dayton Accords in 1995, which ended the Bosnian War, the international community recognized the newly independent nations emerging from the breakup. 4. Myanmar 2006. Myanmar, formerly known as Burma, was banned from participating in the 2006 FIFA World Cup qualifiers due to government interference in the country's football association. Here's a detailed explanation of the events that led to the ban. Government interference. The Myanmar Football Federation, MFF, which is responsible for governing football in the country, faced significant interference from the government. The government had been involved in decisions related to the administration of football, which undermined the independence and autonomy of the Football Association. Suspension and ban. As a result of the continued government interference and Myanmar's failure to comply with FIFA's regulations, the country was suspended from participating in the qualifiers for the 2006 FIFA World Cup, which was held in Germany. The ban meant that Myanmar's national team was unable to participate in the qualification matches for the tournament. 5. Benin. Benin was suspended from participating in the 2010 FIFA World Cup qualifiers due to government interference in its football association. Here's a detailed explanation of the events leading to the suspension. Government interference. The Fédération Béninoise de Football, Benin Football Federation, or FBF, faced significant government interference in its operations. The government was involved in decisions and activities related to the administration of football in the country. Suspension. As a consequence of the continued government interference and Benin's failure to comply with FIFA's regulations, the country was suspended from participating in the qualifiers for the 2010 FIFA World Cup, which was held in South Africa. The suspension meant that Benin's national team was ineligible to participate in the qualification matches for the tournament. Impact and resolution. The suspension had a significant impact on Benin's football community and players. It highlighted the importance of maintaining the autonomy of football associations and respecting FIFA's regulations. 6. Gibraltar from 2014 to 2016. There was a dispute between Gibraltar and Spain regarding Gibraltar's membership in FIFA and its eligibility to participate in international football competitions. Gibraltar is a British overseas territory located on the southern tip of the Iberian Peninsula, and it has a long-standing political dispute between the United Kingdom and Spain over its sovereignty. This dispute extended to sports, including football. Application for membership. Gibraltar first applied for FIFA membership in 1997, but its application faced opposition from Spain, which claimed sovereignty over the territory. Spain argued that Gibraltar's membership would violate FIFA's statutes related to the eligibility of teams from non-sovereign territories. Opposition and legal challenge. Spain strongly opposed Gibraltar's membership and threatened to boycott matches involving Gibraltar. Spain also launched legal challenges against FIFA's decision, claiming that it violated FIFA's statutes. 7. Brunei 2018. September 30. The Football Association of Brunei Darussalam, BFA, has been suspended by FIFA for government interference in its affairs, it has been announced. A statement from FIFA said, it started with a decision by the Brunei authorities to dissolve BFA and to replace it with a new federation in December 2008. The suspension, which applies globally, means Brunei and its clubs are unable to take part in international competitions. One Brunei club, DPMM, currently plays in Singapore's S-League, but will no longer be allowed to do so. The suspension will only be lifted only when BFA is reinstated by the government, FIFA said. 8. Russia. In February, FIFA and UEFA banned all Russian clubs and national teams until further notice as a result of its war against Ukraine. Pressure had been mounting from other countries. Many European teams, such as England, Poland, and Sweden, had already said they refused to play against Russia. In addition to the Russian men's team being barred from the World Cup, the women's team could not play in this summer's Euro 2022 competition, and Spartak Moscow could not compete in the Europa League.